Welcome back to Simplified Teaching, where we demystify pedagogy. Today we're diving deep into a topic that strikes fear into the hearts of students and teachers alike, the group project.
I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? You get that one student who does all the work, the one who does absolutely nothing, and then the inevitable arguments over who is supposed to format the bibliography. It's a mess. But what if the problem isn't teamwork itself, but the way we're setting it all up?
You know, research actually has a name for this all-too-common failure, the teamwork trap. It's what happens when we just put students in groups and, well, hope for the best. This unstructured approach often leads to something called process loss, which is a fancy way of saying the group completely fails to reach its full potential because of things like poor communication or zero coordination. In short, the group's actual performance ends up being way worse than what it could have been.
So how do we escape this trap? Well, that's what we're going to figure out. We're going to dive deep into the research. We'll start by getting our terms straight, then we'll break down exactly why group projects fail so spectacularly. After that, we'll look at the latest findings and see how it all clicks together. By the end, you'll have the secret to making group work a success, along with some practical steps you can use in your own classroom.
Okay, let's dive right in. Before we can even begin to fix the problem, we need to get our vocabulary straight. It turns out the words we often use interchangeably, collaborative and cooperative, they actually mean very different things in the research.
A major historical review published via PMC makes this crystal clear. The core finding is that cooperative and collaborative learning are not the same thing. They are not synonyms. They have different origins, different goals, and, most importantly, completely different structures. Honestly, this distinction is so crucial that it forms the foundation of pretty much everything we're going to discuss today.
And right here, you can see the stark contrast between the two. Collaborative learning is unstructured, it's student-centered, and it came out of higher ed. Cooperative learning, on the other hand, is highly structured, it's teacher-facilitated, and it's got its roots in K-12 social psychology. But the key difference, the real game changer, is accountability. In cooperative learning, it is an essential, non-negotiable part of the process. And this is our very first clue to escaping the teamwork trap.
So how does knowing this difference help us understand the problem? Let's take a closer look at what happens inside an unstructured group project that causes it to just fall apart. The psychology here is fascinating and, unfortunately, very predictable.
This 2015 review paper by Voiles, Bailey, and Durick introduces us to the two main culprits, social loafing and the sucker effect. These are the psychological forces that unravel group projects from the inside. I'm telling you, this paper is incredibly impactful because it just perfectly diagnoses the disease we're trying to cure.
First up is social loafing. This idea goes all the way back to a 1913 experiment where a researcher named Ringelmann found that people pulling on a rope, well, they pulled less hard when they were in a group. In the classroom, it's that student who's thinking, someone else will pick up the slack, so I don't have to try as hard.
But here's where it gets really toxic. Social loafing creates this chain reaction. When the conscientious students see their peers slacking off, it triggers the sucker effect. They start thinking, hang on, I'm not going to be the sucker who does all the work for the same grade. So in what's a completely rational move to protect themselves, they reduce their own effort. And right here you can see the downward spiral in action. It starts with a little social loafing. Then the hard workers notice. To avoid being exploited, the sucker effect kicks in and they pull back. Suddenly, nobody is pulling their weight and the entire project just collapses. The teamwork trap has officially sprung.
Okay, now that we've diagnosed the problem, let's look at the evidence for the solution. What happens when we move from that unstructured collaboration to a structured cooperation? A major recent study gives us some really powerful answers.
This 2020 study is a big deal. It's a large-scale cluster randomized trial, which is basically the gold standard of educational research. The researchers found that well-structured cooperative learning didn't just improve academics, it also improved peer relationships, support, and engagement. And what's really important is that the gains were even larger for students of color, which highlights its role in creating equity. This study is incredibly impactful because it provides such strong evidence for the benefits of a structured approach.
So, how do all these different pieces of research fit together? We've got a historical definition, a psychological explanation for failure, and a modern study showing the benefits of a structured approach. Let's synthesize these findings and see what the bigger picture is telling us.
The crucial takeaway here is the powerful convergence of all this evidence. From historical reviews to modern trials, the research is clear. Unstructured group work is a recipe for disaster.
Success isn't about hoping for the best, it's about intentionally designing for it. And while each study has a different focus, one defines terms, one diagnoses problems, one measures outcomes, they all point to the exact same solution. Structure is everything.
This brings us right to the core takeaway of our analysis. If unstructured teamwork is the trap, what is the secret to making group work successful? The answer is surprisingly simple, yet profoundly powerful.
The secret isn't better collaboration, it's better structure. We need to stop asking students to just collaborate and start engineering the conditions for true cooperation. And according to decades of research, that structure is built on 5 essential, absolutely non-negotiable elements.
And here they are, the 5 essential elements of the cooperative secret. First, positive interdependence, which creates that sink or swim together mentality. Second, individual accountability, which is the direct antidote to social loafing. Third, face-to-face interaction, to make sure students are actually helping each other. Fourth, explicitly teaching social skills, which prevents the group from falling apart due to conflict. And finally, group processing, which makes the group smarter over time. When you have all 5, the teamwork trap just disappears.
So what does this all mean for your classroom tomorrow? Let's translate this research into 3 immediate action points you can use to redesign your group projects.
First, audit your structure. Look at your next group assignment and ask honestly, are all 5 elements really there? Second, engineer accountability. This is crucial. Make individual effort visible and consequential. Individual quizzes or graded research notes are perfect for this. Third, teach teamwork as a skill. Don't just assume students know how to resolve conflict or lead a discussion. Give them roles and tools to succeed.
Ultimately, this analysis shows us that escaping the teamwork trap isn't about luck. It's about design. It's not about just putting students together. It's about recognizing that cooperative learning is a powerful, research-backed system designed to make the group smarter than the smartest person in it.
To ensure you keep receiving these research-driven pedagogy breakdowns, simply like this video and hit subscribe to Simplified Teaching right now. The next analysis drops next week. You won't want to miss it. P.S. Want to support our work? Relevant resources and affiliate links are in the description below. See you next week.